Just pure devastation. I've never seen anything like this before.
We're throwing everything at this that we possibly can.
The whole community is gone. The whole community is gone.
So many people that we know are losing their homes completely.
I'm trying to figure out how to tell my 3-year-old that we don't have a home.
It reminds me of, like, the value of what is not tangible.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Elizabeth Cook.
I'm Ann Makovec, and we begin with breaking news. A new wildfire is now burning in Los Angeles County, and people are again being told to evacuate. This is the last thing we need down there. Video here of the so-called Kenneth fire. It's burning now near Bell Canyon, north of Highway 101 in the Woodland Hills area. And taking a live look right now at that fire, you can see all that smoke. This is burning to the south right now, pretty close to some homes there. We've already seen fire helicopters making drops on that fire, hoping to get a handle on it. It's already burned about 50 acres, so we're going to stay on top of that new fire. And in the meantime, we're getting a clearer picture of the scope of devastation across Los Angeles County. Entire neighborhoods leveled. From the chopper here, you can see just row after row of homes burned to the ground. This is in the city of Pacific Palisades, and a reporter touring the devastation from the air says it's unlike anything he's ever seen.
This is like the first chance that we're actually kind of getting a look at that real devastation when they keep saying over 1,000 homes burned in the Palisades. I never picture anything like this. This is just blocks after blocks.
Yeah, you heard him mention that fire officials estimating right now at least 1,000 homes and other buildings destroyed so far. We know now that that number has grown significantly, but officials stress that those are just early conservative numbers. Further inland, the other big fire, the Eaton fire, burning just south of the Angeles National Forest, also continues to rage out of control. It is now moving toward the peak of Mount Wilson, burning dangerously close to a transmission tower you see there. That fire is 0% contained. The good news is that firefighters say they've been able to significantly slow its growth. But the damage has certainly been done, and the threat is far from over. Take a look at this drone footage from the devastation from the Eaton fire. This was taken today in Altadena. Fire officials say the fire has destroyed or damaged between 4,000 and 5,000 structures. Excuse me. The Eaton fire has killed at least 5 people throughout Pasadena, Altadena, and the Forest area. Reporter Jasmine Veal caught up with the family, who told her they lost a dad and grandfather in that fire.
And it was text messages, or you couldn't get through to him?
The text messages stopped. After a while, they stopped. The text messages stopped probably at about 11 p.m.
Okay.
At about 11 p.m., the text messages stopped. And the last phone call when I talked to him last was about 9:30, 9:40.
Oh.
And he was walking around with his lantern in the house. Chase and I were talking to him. We were on FaceTime. And he was in there with his lantern, gathering his stuff and putting stuff up. He had just took his medicine. And that was it.
But your son left a few hours after that at 11 p.m.
A few hours
and
after
he's
that.
okay.
Chase is okay.
Okay.
He's okay.
Traumatized, I'm sure.
Very much so.
I'm so sorry.
Very much so. Very much so.
I just thank you for even talking and being this strong. I know it's difficult, and the last thing you want to do is, sometimes talk to reporters, but I'm glad we could share his story.
Thank you.
I just, the more I learn about Rodney and the life that he led, so I appreciate it.
Thank
and
you.
I'm so sorry.
I appreciate you checking in.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you guys showing concern, and I appreciate you wanting to talk about my dad.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just all these stories that I've heard over the last 2 days, from the Palisades to this Eaton fire, folks who've lost everything, but again, to lose a life, that's the hardest. You see homes that have burned down, but to lose a life, so. Best of luck to your prayers to your family.
I really appreciate it. Check on me, okay?
I will.
Okay.
I will for sure.
All right, thank you.
All right. I'm going to let Kimiko go. She's been talking to detectives who are here with the Sheriff's Department. I should just say deputies have told her that homicide detectives are going to be making their way back here to her father's house. Then the coroner, again, we saw that van just up the street from here, checking out yet another home where we're hearing that another person, I think a man, had passed away, but we're trying to confirm that.
Well, while the official death toll stands now at 5, we did see first responders transporting what appears to be another body out of the fire debris in Malibu. Authorities say this is a fluid situation.
I'm going to tell you something. The number just continuously fluctuates, and it's because we're still in a very chaotic scenario.
Right now, firefighters trying to gain control of several different fires in LA County. More than 45 square miles in total have burned so far. That is roughly the size of San Francisco. More than 180,000 people across Los Angeles County remain under evacuation orders this afternoon. Many families have no idea if their homes are still standing. Amanda Starantino caught up with a couple in Altadena that just learned they lost everything in that fire.
Are you trying to get over to your house right now?
I just wanted to see if anything's left. We had everything, like the sentimental things. Like my mom passed away. I had only a few things of hers left. My wedding dress, our wedding album. We left everything. Our albums, we have just whatever we're wearing. We're wearing the same thing for the last 2 days. I'm trying to figure out how to tell my 3-year-old that we don't have a home. And we don't have a school. We don't even know where to go, what to do next. We're staying at a friend's house. You know, but that's all short term.
Well, a reporter from CBS Sacramento, Ashley Sharp, joining us now from Los Angeles. Ashley, thanks for being with us. We know the weather is a big factor here with if firefighters are able to get a handle on this. What are the conditions you're seeing right now?
And over the past 2 days, those winds have calmed, which has been a massive help to this firefight. They were able to continue the attack by air, which of course was not possible for a time, considering how strong those Santa Ana winds were, gusting 75 miles per hour plus. I want to give you just kind of a scene setter for where we are. I'm in Altadena right now, just outside of Pasadena, and up and down this road behind me off of Lake Avenue, people have been hiking back in, neighbors, to check out their home to see if it's still standing. We've talked to so many of them. You heard that emotion in that soundbite that you played before you came to me, tearfully describing losing their homes. We've been meeting those people all afternoon, and it's devastating. One of the good pieces of news, we caught a woman as she was walking back out. She had come in to check out her home and was wanting to find her cat, right? So she found her damaged home. The cat was there alive. So he got to hike back out in a cat carrier, and those are some of the moments that you realize what's important, right?
Absolutely.
So we're again in Altadena. I'm standing in a Chevron gas station. Let me just show you this damage over here, Ann. This is the gas station, what it was at least, and there's a smog check station right here with some cars still in the bay. All that's left of them is a shell. And this is just one picture of what we are seeing block after block in Altadena and the greater Los Angeles community.
I know you are a Northern California reporter. You've covered some of our big wildfires around here. How does this one compare?
You know, what's been so different about covering a fire of this magnitude in a city like Los Angeles has been the actual city. You know, when we're talking about our recent fires that we've seen this summer in Butte County and the Chico area, the communities are so small, the routes in and out are limited. In this area, thankfully, it's been a bit easier for people to evacuate. There hasn't been as much of a bottleneck situation. Of course, you've seen it in certain scenarios on roads. But that has been the biggest difference, in my opinion, is seeing this in a big city where people have more quickly been able to get out. But you also have to think there are a lot more homes back to back to back to back in a place like Altadena than in a place like Paradise or a place like Chico.
Absolutely. All right. Ashley Sharp live for us in Altadena. We appreciate it. Let's bring in First Alert meteorologist Darren Peck now, because again, talking about the weather, that is a huge factor. It seems like they've gotten some relief from the winds.
Yeah, they have. Doesn't mean that the fires have completely lied down, but the winds at least are not as violent.
Right. And making it less likely to spread so far out of control.
But they're still there. And they're still strong enough that on a normal day, these would be problematic winds. What happened to start this off was extreme, so at least we're not doing that. Let me show you how this will play out. The first thing I want to do is show you how, even if we're getting a little bit of a break now, we can already see what's coming on the big picture wind-wise. Keep your eye down here in the Gulf. That's the original area of low pressure that started this for us several days ago. That thing's already down in the Gulf, but what we care about is what's coming from upstream, what's coming next. The timestamp is down in the bottom corner of your screen. I want to get us all the way ahead to Monday because that's when we see the next uptick, the next surge in offshore winds, and you can see it on here. So there's your timestamp. We're looking ahead to Monday. This is offshore winds. It's very subtle, but here, let me just walk that line right there. That little line, those are your offshore winds that take you right into the Antelope Valley, and that goes into Southern California. When we looked at this for Monday, that was colored red and orange. It was much stronger. So this isn't that bad, but it's still there and it's still coming back. So we at least know we get a little bit of a break. In fact, I can show you what that looks like. One more review on how the wind is, at least for the next couple of hours, considering the number of new fires that LA is dealing with. The wind's still moving in the same direction, so everything is still going generally from north to south. And as we play this through to tomorrow, we're still looking at winds in the mountains here, and a lot of the new fires are in and around here. So you still have 20-mile-an-hour winds at the higher elevations, but watch what happens after that. This is Friday night into the weekend. Much calmer. That's a short little window that they're really going to need to make the most of. Now, the wind obviously has been the big focus in what's going on in Southern California, but the weather of the last two winters is probably even more important. I want to explain why. We've been showing you nothing but fire video from Southern California from what's going on now. That is LA last winter. Now, we've been talking about how this winter is record dry. It can be easy to forget. Last winter, downtown, this is video through the Sepulveda Basin in the San Fernando Valley. But downtown LA as a whole, got about 240% of average rainfall last year. And the year before that, they got about 150% of average rainfall. Those were two huge rainfall years, which were then followed by this year, which is in some cases historically dry. So we went from two big extremes, which really allowed all the vegetation to grow like gangbusters. And now all that vegetation which has died got really dried out through a very hot summer. And now well into the middle of winter, it's totally dried out and just waiting to go up in flames because they haven't gotten any rain in Southern California. That is meteorological whiplash, something we've talked about a lot here in California. And it's pretty timely that a paper came out today. So we're going to go to the journal here, which was published by one of the leading climate scientists who's really been forwarding this notion that we should probably start getting used to the idea that we're going to be going through more whiplash of one extreme to the other. Daniel Swain and his group of researchers out of UCLA and originally Stanford published this paper today. The timing is uncanny. And if we leave behind the paper that they published and switch back over to the weather computer, just a review on how this went. That's this winter. We've been showing you that. The areas in red on here show you where we're record dry. This was last winter, and this was the winter before that. And if we come in for a close-up look at LA again, we're just looking at LA, 0% of average rainfall this winter. Last winter, those numbers were at 190%, and the winter before that, they were up around 240%. So swinging wildly like this from one extreme to the next is the hallmark that we should be thinking about. Sure, this was a big wind event, but the winds were only the last little element of this. It was really the preceding two winters that set us up for the fires that California is now seeing. And the paper tells us as we go ahead over the next several decades of warming, we're likely going to be seeing that whiplash become more intense. That's kind of like the simple takeaway in this. We're going to talk about this again in a little more detail during the 5:30 newscast. I'll be back with our forecast as well in a few minutes. For now, Ann, back to you.
All right, thank you, Darren. The federal government, back to the fires, expected to cover 100% of fire recovery costs. Today, President Biden was briefed on the situation and said the feds would foot the bill for the next 6 months. This is expected to be one of the costliest disasters in the state's history. All right, let's go back to that Palisades fire. This map shows where it is burning along the coast up into Malibu, and you can see hills and canyons have been causing real problems for firefighters there, that topography. We have sent some of our CBS News Bay Area reporters down to Southern California to bring us the latest on the ground on these fires. Kevin Coe was in Pacific Palisades, where he talked with a man who was trying to save his childhood home.
They wouldn't let us back up. And then I know the back routes up here. I grew up here my whole life since I was born. My mom's still there, but I live in Topanga, which is still going. And we just doing our best to try to save Mom's house.
Chris, I grew up in the San Gabriel Valley.
Yeah.
I'm not here often, right? When I see this, I see ash that looks like snow. I see houses that are just completely gone. I mean, what was this neighborhood to you? What did it mean to you? And what is it like seeing it now?
Skateboarding down these streets. This is home. This is for sure. Palisades is my home, and there's nothing like it. I've never seen nothing like it. It's heavy. Yeah. It's heavy. A lot of it's gone.
Chris, my last question for you is, a lot of people have been watching a lot of this coverage.
Yeah.
You've been in this.
Yeah.
What is one thing you would just like for people to know?
We'll rebuild. You know, if it's gone, you know, we'll just rebuild, and fingers crossed, and you know, let's just try to stay positive and stay as a community. And you know, I give my heart out to my neighbors who have lost their life, lost their houses, and I just did what I could. And I pray for everybody in the Palisades. I love all y'all. Please just hold tight, and we'll get through this.
Yes.
Yeah, bro.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Best of luck to you, okay?
Yeah, all right, cool.
Oh, and this is some video from elsewhere in the Palisades fire taken by our photojournalist Brian Kiley in Southern California. A preschool there burning to the ground today, along with several buildings in that neighborhood. Stay with us for more wildfire coverage coming after the break. We are with the journalist as she tours her home that she lost in the Eaton fire. And we are continuing to follow breaking news this afternoon. This is a live look at yet another new fire that has broken out in the Los Angeles area. This is being called the Kenneth Fire. It broke out about an hour ago. Evacuation orders are in effect right now, and so far it has burned through about 50 acres. Back now to that Eaton fire near Pasadena. Reporter Amanda Starantino talked to her best friend who lost her family home.
I heard there was the fire in Altadena, so we come here, and all I said was, Shant, let's get the photos, let's get the videos. You don't know what's going to happen. There were embers flying over our heads, so we just started loading boxes and boxes of videos and photos and rescuing all of that. We put on hard hats while loading up the car because embers were flying, and then police were going all around the neighborhood saying evacuate. This is before we even got the alerts, so it was word of mouth. That's how quickly all of this happened. And my mom is so angry, and she's so sad, and she wishes we had more time. I think everybody wishes they had more time to have taken more stuff. And as the days go on, we're processing more. We're finding more. We're realizing we're never going to see this again. You're never going to see your grandmother's crochet knit stuff again. You're never going to see your blankie again. So I think one of the things that I think are so important are to actually acknowledge how much this sucks and how painful this is. And my mom, my brother, and I felt like it was more important. When you're grieving a loss, you can't do it with your loved ones sometimes. So I came here on my own yesterday, and a friend came and she hugged me, and I burst into tears. My mom came with support. My brother wanted to see it on his own, and he wouldn't shed a tear until he came and he actually saw it with his own eyes. And you know when he shed a tear? When I showed him that I saved a stuffy of our first dog that I had for 20 years. And it was one of those running out, like, I'll take that too, just in case. And that's when he got emotional. And I think one of the most important things when you're going through something like this and seeing it from my perspective, we're always asking people, how are you feeling? What's going on through your mind? It comes in waves. And 1 second I'm okay, and I'm like, I'm so grateful. My town is burning down. We're seeing embers fly over our cars, but I'm alive. Everybody's alive and well.
Well, CBS News is partnering with the Red Cross to try to raise money for people impacted by those wildfires in Southern California. You can donate to the Red Cross by going to redcross.org/CBS. You can also call 1-800-RED-CROSS or text Red Cross to 90999. That way you'll automatically make a $10 donation. Thanks for watching. You can always get all the latest headlines and weather over on Pix Plus. And remember to like and click the button on the bottom left of your screen to subscribe for the biggest Bay Area news.